Hey everyone, I'm Ingrid.
Hello folks, I'm Rick Meekins.
Join us for the next half hour on Epiphany Off the Cuff, where we will discuss what's going on in the entrepreneurial community.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff. We are on episode 5. Ingrid, how you doing today?
I am really happy to be. Oh my God, it's like 5 already. It's unbelievable how time flies.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we're on iTunes.
Yeah. Oh
Can you
yeah, we
believe that?
celebrated that today.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, that's exciting.
At least I am celebrating. I don't know you. Do you like chocolate? Do you like cacao or cocoa? I don't know how. It depends where you are located, how you call it.
I love chocolate.
You love it? Okay.
My doctor doesn't love it for me, so.
I have mine here, 60% cocoa, to celebrate, of course.
Very nice. This is me.
Made in Colombia.
All right, now I'm plugged for Colombia. There you go. So, what are we talking about today, Ingrid?
Well, today we want to talk. I guess that I've been, that I used to sometimes create content for our clients. So I tend to be like on the web and trying to understand what's in the industry and what, all the topics that is being really talked and discussed in different industries.
For sure.
And I've talked with a lot of comments and discussions about how to make business decisions, how to take business decisions, and how the process is like really different, like for different type of entrepreneurs, managers, top executive. Like we are like, the human body and the brain is taking decisions every second, like automatically, and we didn't even notice. So sometimes it's, it's automatically, but sometimes it's really like we are facing like tough decisions every day, and we need to at least have, I don't know, I think like with the time we get to have like our own process, our own type of process. I definitely believe that there's not like a rule. There are guidelines, there are frameworks, but yeah, I think that there's a discussion there that at least for people that are in the business industry, are in the business, are in their own business or managing areas or whatever. Sometimes when they are like maybe confused or overwhelmed, it's good to have a steps or listen to people how they did it. So I guess that's something that we can definitely discuss in this episode.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great topic. That is a great topic. I know as a leader, I find myself, making decisions, of course, for the company, for myself, for the team. And there's a lot that goes into it. Of course, the bigger the decision, the more that goes into it, the more the more effort I need to put into it. I hold myself accountable to the team. And, every decision that I make has got to be one that I'm willing to stand behind. It's like you make a decision, especially as a leader, and you don't stand behind it. I mean, really, what kind of leader are you? I mean, you've got to be able to get in that saddle and just write it down,
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
So what do you think, Rick? In your experience, I know you have a lot. I'm not saying that you're old, but you have a lot of experience in business being.
A lot of people say I'm old.
Both being an entrepreneur and a manager, right? Like a leader. What do you think has been the toughest decision that you have taken in your life?
Oh wow! I you know what? I didn't see that one coming. maybe we shouldn't be so off the cuff on stuff.
The name is off the cuff, so
This is true.
Yeah, try to think, and I think that maybe once you have like that question, you can. A lot of situations goes like from the past can go through your brain or your mind, but I think that in different type of areas of our lives, we can definitely choose like one toughest decision, right?
For sure.
Maybe from the professional side or personal side. So I don't know, whatever you want to share.
Sure. One of the things, I mean, obviously there have been lots and lots of decisions that come to mind. I think that one that I guess I think the one that what I'm going back to is really when I went to start the company. It was a little bit of a difficult time. There were some things going on at the house. My wife was a little bit sick, and I'm trying to take care of the kids. Kids were very, very young at the time, and I was having a little bit of. I had a job at the time, probably the only time I had a job in my adult life. But I had a job at the time, and I had a steady paycheck, and we had insurance, and all that good stuff. Kids are in daycare, and yada yada yada, and because of, I guess, trying to make sure the kids were okay, trying to, take care of my wife, trying to get back and forth to the hospital and that sort of thing. It was taking a lot of time. It was taking a lot of focus. In the meantime, I had been doing some consulting. I was just like guiding some business owners about, certain things that they were working on, and just trying to help people, organize their business. Now, I mean, truth be told, I had in the back of my mind, it's like, I want to be a consultant. I want to consult, for other companies. I had done consulting at another firm and really, really enjoyed it. My background in business was in consulting. So, it wasn't as though it was a, something that was, just blind to me, but it was something that I certainly didn't have enough. I didn't feel I had enough history and background, that sort of thing, to really do it on a full-time basis. But I felt like I was getting, kind of backed into a corner. And it was interesting because my pastor at the time was actually doing a series on what's called The Extraordinary Life. And The Extraordinary Life was just, part of it had to do with perception, how you're looking at things. It's not, one of those where, hey, do this and you're going to, get $1 million. But, it had a lot to do with perspective. And it really helped me to think about what I wanted to and what I wanted to do. And I think that because of that situation, and, my boss at the time had a conversation with me and was like, hey, Rick, you're, really not focused. You're not spending so much time working and stuff like that. It was just like, I got to the point where it's like, you know what? I think we need to take the leap. I think that we need to go ahead and stop doing this. I enjoy, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I enjoyed the job, but, I felt like it was really time to start moving things forward with the consulting business. And, I remember I wrote a letter to my pastor, and I was just saying to him that I was going to do this. I was going to make this move. And I was saying that, I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. I didn't know what was going to happen, but, I was just going to have faith that this thing was going to go forward. And so, I sent the letter to him, and, he was very supportive and that sort of thing. I tried to tell my boss, and he didn't believe me. And then I didn't come to work the next week, and he was upset with me. And that was that. But I mean, that was a really tough decision. I mean, I had 5 kids.
Like leaving all the stability or secure benefits that you had.
Right. Exactly. And like I said, my wife was already sick, so it wasn't like she was, able to go to work at the time either. I mean, this was really, really tough. I think that I would say, though, being here today, we made it, and I think that's the big thing. It was a tough decision. It was a huge risk. It was, one of my jump off the bridge and build a plane on the way down type of decisions. Now, I had thought through as much as I possibly could, with my limited knowledge, but it was really grinding after that. It was, but I think at the end of the day, it's been rewarding.
That's good to hear. So that was like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, wow. Absolutely. I was,
that's definitely tough, and I think that's it's going to maybe sounds very familiar to a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are listening, right? Sure. It's like leaving the paycheck and just, as you said, taking the leap.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, have you had an experience like that?
I think that when I read the question also, like, I can think of two tough decisions. One is like personal, and I can definitely talk about it too. But the one that is regarding business was when I was in my business, the one that I have, you already know already about the story. Um, well, I had to like resign and to my my shares and to sell,
Hmm.
and that was like really tough because one side of me wanted to just keep moving because I enjoyed it, and I mean I really liked it, but the other side was like, hey, it just it doesn't mean that if you sell now, you are not gonna like you can develop it by yourself maybe later in the future when you are in different situations, right? So
Sure.
that was
Yeah.
like really tough. It was like two Ingrids in my mind, as it always is, but it's like two Ingrids like talking like, hey,
Was it good and bad,
what
Ingrid,
is,
or was it?
yeah, exactly. It's like the two mini Ingrids here in the shoulders. So it was tough, but I think it was a good decision, because I needed it. I also, I don't know why, but I feel like so fortunate to have learned, really young. I think it was young. Have learned that when you're an entrepreneur, you need to take care of yourself first,
Hmm.
like as a person, have like a balance between, your spiritual. I am really spiritual for those that you don't know yet that about me. The spiritual side, the physical, right, and the
Hmm.
mental. So
Hmm.
that has to
Hmm.
be aligned because when you are in front of your business, your team, your leader, your challenges, like if you're not balanced, you can't make it.
For
So
sure.
I learned that in that moment, and that's when I saw that like, here, no, I need to be okay in order to do this for the people and for me. Like I need to take care of myself first.
For sure.
So yes,
Absolutely.
that was tough.
I can imagine. I can imagine. My goodness. My goodness. And that was, one of those life-changing decisions. I mean, you just took your life and just went a completely different direction. Did you have a plan for what you were going to do next, or was it just kind of you
Hmm.
surrendered and?
I had no plan. I mean, I had, like, I resigned to my job as you did too, and that was also tough. That wasn't the toughest, but that was
Uh-huh.
also tough. Like to give up my job, which I learned so much from my previous boss at that time. Um, and I was like not sure if I could come back there.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Colombia, I don't know. I think in US it's really different, but here in Colombia, where you are like, an independent or a contractor or
Mm-hmm.
business owner or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
if you like maybe did that for 1 year or 2 years, and then you wanna come back and be an employee, be part of a company, is, yeah, I don't know. The recruiters don't see you in the same way. So they see you like, what are you doing this year, in these 3 years? And I was like, I was being in charge of my business. So what do you do there? And I was like, I did everything,
Everything.
all the areas. So that's really responsibility there. No, but you mean like in a company? And I was like so impressed. So I didn't want to go like through that process of getting a job. So
Hmm.
I had two things. First, it was an opportunity from one of my vendors, my suppliers. Sorry.
Hmm.
So he offered me a job, and then the other thing is that I had my advisories like going on,
Hmm.
so I could continue that. So I continue being independent, advisor, and also work like part time for this, supplier, the company that I had before.
Gotcha. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That instability. I mean, I think that's, whenever you're going to take that leap, there is there's that concern, and I think if I were to do it again, I think now, as I guess a more mature person, I'm sure, I would have had a little bit more planning, more throughput. It's more experienced, now as well. It was, I think back then, it was, I probably thought to myself, I was like, hey, you know what, I'm going to put my shingle up, and then all of a sudden, you know, people are going to start finding me, you know, and it doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah, but you know what? And that's completely true. I agree with that. However, sometimes you don't have the time to plan, right? So it was
Mm-hmm.
like, I need to do that right now. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I do like a planning, but it's like gonna be quick, or
Mm-hmm.
I have it in my mind. Let's put it into a post-it or something that, like, you
Yeah,
know. But sometimes you don't. You just, for example, let's say COVID. It's COVID hit, and you didn't have a plan for that.
for
So you
sure.
have like contingency plans. Hey, no,
I
there's
like
there's
that.
nothing like this, right? Like every plan you do. So that's tough there. What do you think it would be like if we can summarize the 5 steps that you would take when making a decision?
You know, I
If
mean,
you can
that's
summarize it in 5 steps, I don't know if it's for you 3 or something like that.
5 seconds. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. But it's interesting. I do have I do have steps that I take. And one is, I mean, I think we really have to, in my mind, I have to really understand, you know, what the challenge is, or you know what we're trying to accomplish. It's kind of that, you know, almost like begin with the end in mind. You know, if I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, you know, where I'm going, obviously, you know, I can't make a good decision. I need to gather resources, you know, and I need to figure out kind of where I'm going to get information or input or whatever it is, you know, whether it's, you know, just taking time and praying and meditating about it, or, you know, going out and talking to other people, or, you know, whatever that's going to be, because, you know, making a decision without having all the information is going to be difficult. It's going to make it a very, you know, very, very shallow, I guess, a decision. Um, Once I've done that, and I try to do that in a very clean way, so I'm not prejudging based, you know, making premature decisions based on the little bit of information I have. So with the information in hand, you know, I'm able to start thinking about, you know, what are the possible solutions. But you know, I'm also thinking, you know, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 steps down the road. You know, so if I go this way, you know, what are the repercussions of that going to be? And I'm weighing that out, you know, and I'm looking for what's going to be the most desirable, the most likely outcome of that. And then once I've gotten to the point where I'm ready to make a decision, you know, it doesn't really stop there for me. I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, we're going to go forward, but something else entirely to actually, you know, press the gas and start moving forward. And so I've really incorporated that as part of my decision making process. It's like we make the decision, but we also go, because you know,
Mm-hmm.
even if you have made a decision, haven't gone, you've made the decision not to go, you know,
Yeah.
or you haven't really made a decision. So I mean, that's the last part of my decision making process.
And of course, we're talking about business decisions, right? So that's,
Absolutely.
I guess that's what you do when you are like maybe thinking on a business unit, thinking that applies also for example, design services, offerings,
Mhm.
products development,
Absolutely.
or do you have like different type of add-ons or something like that to the process?
I think well, it's going to be similar. I mean, if we were talking about you know, product design, product development, um, you know, some of those resources that we're going to be looking for are the market. Okay, and we're going out and we're talking to people, or we're doing the research and that sort of thing, and then we get a really good understanding of what the problem is. Okay, so we don't know, you know, we have an idea. It's like, hey, we want to start a new business unit and we have capabilities here, but you know, we can't build. It doesn't make sense to build a product that nobody has an interest in, or you know, there's no real need for. So going out talking to the market, you're able to identify what gaps exist in the market that align with what you're trying to do, and then we can kind of move forward in a very similar process. It's almost like strategic planning, you know, where you're saying, okay, we have a gap. Let's figure out how to fill that gap. Let's make sure that it's going to make sense for the company. Let's going to make sure that it's feasible going forward. Make sure it's cost effective. Make sure that we can sell it at a price that's going to make sense for the market. So, I mean, it is a very similar product. And then, of course, you've got to execute. And then once you've executed, one of the other things, I guess, you know, with product development is I would say that, you know, a lot of times the first product, prototype, you know, minimum viable product that hits the market is not really going to be what that end product looks like. because you're going to get it out there and you're going to get more input from your market, from the people that are buying it, and you're going to change it, you're going to tweak it, and then you're going to, continue to develop it. And that's how we stay ahead in the marketplace, because, the companies that say, hey, I'm going to take this widget, I'm going to put it out here, and fail to evolve, some other company is going to come up and they're going to develop the same thing. They're going to do it better. They're going to make it shinier. They're going to put bubbles and rainbows coming out of it. And this original company is just going to be like, what happened? This was my idea. Right. That's the nature of the market. The market is going to go after where they're going to get the greatest value. And that greatest value may be happiness. That greatest value may be, whatever it's going to be, utility, whatever it's going to be. So, yeah, it's for me, it's always a strategic approach. The decision, the product development, the strategic planning. It's all in that same vein of what's going to happen 3, 4, 5, 10 steps down the road for me.
Exactly. So it would be like maybe different type of tweaks or steps depending on exactly what type of industry, or maybe if it is product or services. But it's so interesting what you're saying, because when I hear you, I like go through all the theories and styles that I've read and studied about project management. So I think, and that's something that I enjoy working at Epiphany, is that your style is kind of a merge or a fusion between the PMI methodology and framework and the new methodologies like Scrum or Agile type of philosophies. So that means PMI is really like, I plan and I take whatever it looks like this in terms of time. Like if it is 6 months, I take 6 months of planning. If it is like really rigorous and detailed plan and have everything to in consideration. And then the Scrum, you have like really short periods of planning, but also detail, but maybe just going into really, really minuscule detail once you are pivoting or once you already started executing. So what I liked here is like, okay, let's say in terms of time, 1 month, 2 months to plan, right? But then I start executing, and that doesn't mean that I can like go back and, hey, we need to make this tweak, or let's do this, because sometimes that's like the difference between the two sides of this, right? So I guess it should be like a fusion or type of a mix between the two styles.
For sure. Absolutely.
I think like from my perspective, the only thing that I would add, because I really think that should be the steps that we should do, right? I think that from my point of view, for example, when we are working with entrepreneurs, or when I'm working with a small business owner, I like to always not only go to data, and believe me, I love data. I trust, completely data. I think that we should do like data-driven decisions. But there's also like, how can you say, like type of a vibe or a feeling, or there's a lot of names that different people can call it. But what I am gonna say is maybe instinct, or is that thing that should answer, is this something that you feel that you want to do, that you feel that you want to go for it, that you feel that you're not gonna get bored, regret, feel drawn by, like, is this something that you're willing to do and take all what it takes to make it a success, right? So I like to stop before or during those processes or those steps and ask that, because sometimes the answer to that is, but it's what I should do, because I'm going to be a dumb if I don't take this as an opportunity, or I'm going to be, that's what my counselor says, or my mom says, or, and I don't feel that should be the answer. The answer and the drive should be, I am completely sure that this is what I did. I completely went through the research or whatever is good for you. But I already did this, and I already am sure that I want to do this, right? So, and I've I've had first, of course, like negative responses. Like there are people that are, it's like, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this. I mean, it is a good opportunity. It is something that, yeah, it can work, but I just don't feel it that I will be there in 3 months, like,
Mm-hmm.
no, there's maybe something else that you want to do it and that still applies to all your steps and your processes and whatever, and still can make a success.
For
So
sure.
bottom line for me is, I think that for me is always kind of a 50-50 type of rationale or way of thinking. And in these moments, you can think of a brain, how you have seen those images where you have like a brain full of colors, and the other is like really metrics and symmetrics and black and white. So I
Uh,
think that my brain is like that. It's like you always, for me, I like to see what you feel like doing, your instinct, your
sure.
drive, what draws you, and then of course let's take the steps, let's take the process, let's do the research, let's do the homework, right? So yes, I think that's the only thing, the trick that I would add for those steps in my case.
For sure. For sure. So you're saying you've got the rational side, and you've got more of the human side, or the emotional feeling side. Is that kind of where you're going?
I think that is beyond emotional. It can be called, let's say, the instinct. I
Okay.
think the instinct won't fail. You know, of
Sure.
course, you have to be like maybe a jockey or I don't know, like a really Jedi or something to completely trust your instinct. So that's why you need to complement it, right? To steps or data and support with data analysis.
For sure.
But don't like forgetting 100% about that instinct, because most of the times when you had it like at the beginning, it worked, right? Like it has the point and the reason.
Hmm.
So yes, I definitely believe in that. Not that one is more important than the other, but I'm saying is like always listening, like listening to yourself.
For sure. For sure. For sure. I think for me, I tend to do like puzzles in terms of structures, and so I'm collecting data, and then I'm modeling out whatever that solution is. So it's I guess kind of like almost like an engineer would approach it. It's um, what is the end result? What does the solution need to look like, and whatever, what kind of features and capabilities does it need to have in order to solve the problem? How does it um, you know let's just say, how does it withstand changes in the marketplace, in the business world, whatever it is, and try to get all those pieces in place. And so I say it to say I find that my decision making tends to be more objective a lot of times, and less, I'll say less emotional, because I think that intuition is kind of what helps me assemble, what ends up being the final solution. Because I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'm approaching things and looking to do things in a way that they haven't been done, looking to put things together in a way that they haven't really
But
traditionally been put
but
together.
those are gonna complement, right? I'm not saying like not doing it, but I'm thinking that you're more like you're gonna do them
Mm-hmm.
better when you are completely sure that this is for you,
Oh, certainly,
right?
certainly.
Because if you're not sure, maybe you even can like skip those of steps or research, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's something I don't like, I don't want to do. I mean, I'm really gonna. I think it would take. I think it would really take the same level of input to get me to change my mind. Um, and that really, I find that really happens. I mean, I find that especially as I get older, I find I'm very decisive. Like, okay, let's go,
Yeah,
let's do this.
of
I've already
course.
thought it out. I've already thought, 10 steps down the road. Let's just put this thing together and roll with it. I think the other thing, though, I think that I've become, less risk averse. And so, in evaluating different opportunities, it's like, sometimes it's like, okay, this is not going to kill me. This is not going to kill the company. I've got 80% of the information here. We've got 85%. Let's just go for it. Let's just do it. Let's get the ball rolling. Because that's one of the things that's one of the things I hate is when a decision is not being made, and it's just like, okay, well, I thought this through a week ago, and I actually find it a little bit stressful because, like I said, I like to think, 5-10 steps down the road, and it's like, okay, this ball is just not moving yet. Come on, let's get going.
Right.
And sometimes it actually gives me a little bit of anxiety. Do you see that? Does that happen with you at all?
For sure, but I think I've changed recently regarding that. No, I was having something in mind first before jumping in that, and it was like, I believe that we should do what makes us happy. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when you are in front of a decision, as I was saying, is you tend to do it because you have to or because you should do it, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess that the other side can come in and say, hey, you don't have to do it. If you don't want to, even if you should, you don't have to. You know why? Because it won't make you happy. So it's trying to merge those words is not easy. But yeah, I think that the bottom line is, for me, it's not money. It's make you what it makes you happy. And of course, taking good move. So once you know already what makes you happy, okay, let's take 6 months if you want to plan. But this is me, right? And regarding the anxiety, I was saying that I've changed because I think I was like that before, but right now, if I am not taking a really quick decision, I don't get desperate because I prefer to do it really sure about it, or that I have taken all in consideration, that I have seen everything, that I am 100% sure on everything. And if not, at least I have the idea on how to look or something, and then I prefer to wait and take the decision. If it is like maybe a fast or a quick decision that needs to be done, that's that you got me. I do my quick type of steps. And did you check this? I think that would be important for risk, maybe when it's a quick decision. Okay, what are the risks? What is the worst case scenario? How can I plan, or how can I be prepared for that? And then just take it.
For sure. Yeah. What do you think? One of the things I've been thinking about lately is what I've been calling hard things. A very simple analogy is, you're, in a safe place, and then, you see something that you want, maybe half a mile away, but you have to go through a jungle and mosquitoes and animals and stuff like that to get there. And so, you have to make that hard decision to go through these things. And it's going to make you unhappy, and it's going to make you uncomfortable, and you don't necessarily have a true perspective on how long it's going to take you to get through these hard things in order to achieve what you want to. What's your perspective on things like that?
But you have to take them. You have to take that path in order to get what you really want.
Absolutely.
Or it makes you happy. So Absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's been something that I think I've really been pondering, lately. Our company's been growing, and we've been doing a lot of, new and interesting things. And frankly, we've had to bring in, more people in order to get the work done, which is great. We're creating opportunities, but, we're increasing our capabilities. But, the struggle, the tipping point sometimes with growing a company is that, you're sometimes you're making the investment, far, months or years before you're actually going to see that return. Or I shouldn't say years, but, before you're going to see that return. And it becomes, a little bit of a hard, and perhaps it's the simple version, but it's somewhat of a hard thing. because you see, down the road that, hey, the company is going to be in such a place, we'll be able to serve, these companies, we'll be able to create these jobs, we'll be able to, have these capabilities that perhaps we didn't have. So let's just go through this. Let's go through this jungle and
Exactly.
and make it happen.
Yeah.
Because we know that sitting still isn't going to get us anywhere. We might make marginal steps, but not nearly what we could if we just said, hey, you know what, let's just do this. Let's do the hard things. Let's take the hard road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that, I think sometimes you can visualize, you can see that jungle. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you think it's going to be A to B, and then once you started, it's like you start seeing some trees and kind of a dark thing, and I didn't expect that. So, yeah. So, but I think there's gonna be always like a short jungle, even, but it's gonna be jungle on the way, definitely, definitely. So, talking about decisions, if you had right now, you have the choice and you have the decision to go to the past and meet with one character, one person, whatever is that live right now, whatever, one person, hero, someone that you would like to talk to and make a question, what age could that be, and who would you talking to? Would you like to talk to?
It's really interesting. I'm gonna go with Thomas Edison. Driven inventor. One of my favorite stories is where his factory is burning down. Where typically you'd be like absolutely distraught. Oh my gosh, this is my life's work, right?
Right.
And he actually went home, got his family. They all watched it burn down. He said, "You guys are never going to see a fire like this again in your life." Right? He had a lot of vision. He was, always looking for, what's possible, not what's been done, not what everybody else says can be done, but, he's always, he was always reaching, and that's important. I cannot picture my life where I wasn't driving for something, where I wasn't trying to achieve or pursue something. I think I would die.
That's cool.
If I ever stopped.
Yeah.
So, question back at you. Who's that character for you? And I know you had time to think about this.
Yeah, advantage. So, for me, it would be Albert Einstein.
Okay.
There's a quote or a phrase that he said, is the logic can take you, and this is gonna support. I had the 2 minutes to think. So yes, that's gonna support my theory. Is he said logic can take you from point A to B, and imagination can take you to places that you wouldn't thought before, right? So he let's say I see in him the representation of those two sides that I was mentioning before. And you have seen maybe that image when he with the brain and the left, with the colors, and the right with the black and white. So I think that he really embodies that belief. He was really creative, but at the same time, he was a scientist.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot of, for example, you can see musicians or people that are really like scientists, but also goes to music to play something, or to sing, or to dance, or because it complements that knowledge type of process and ingenious type of procedure. So yes, I think that would be Albert Einstein, and I would love to talk to him and ask him like, hey, just talk about that and just talk whatever you want, and I can just listen all what you have to say. So yes, I really admire that, Albert.
Cool. Are you into like maths and sciences, or is it more?
Well, I like some things from science. Yeah, I think I am really, sometimes I'm methodic, but sometimes I also stop. And you know what? Let's not be methodic. Let's just feel what is this like. So I'm trying to be in the middle. I for example, I love dancing, but I also love, sit and do budgets or do numbers and whatever. Like I have a little of the two sides. So yes.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna jump the gun on you, okay? Because
Okay.
I know you're coming up with another question. So, question for you, a leader, dead or alive, that you admire, would want to be like.
Wow, that's tough.
I got you.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say someone from like right now is a leader that I'm following right now. Is this? It's Guy Vayner. It's Vaynerchuk.
Yep.
So
Gary Vaynerchuk. Yep.
Yeah. So
Gary
I follow him. And if you're listening to this, please invite us to your podcast.
You can be on our show too. We'd love to have you.
Exactly. So I like listen all his podcasts. I like his approach. I really admire like the bravery, like the courage of being so open and say what he thinks.
Mm-hmm.
And he always talks about this. It's like, hey, just don't care about what people say or your mom said. Just trust in you, believe, and go there and share it with the world. It's like a really type of it's really brave to be like that. I am definitely not like that. I was like really shy into the first episode, and I'm still being shy. But yeah, I really admire that on him. I admire that he goes and propose things that are like against of everyone is gonna tell you. Like, for example, multitasking is like multitasking doesn't mean like you are doing a lot of things at the same time. Multitasking involves being organized, doing all the tasks that you need in a day, but just doing it in a decent way, in an organized way. And if you are good in multitasking, let's just go for that. Don't try to fit into that you need to specialize in one. So he tries to think beyond on those theories or those things that people tell your society tells you have to be like, right? So yes, Vayner. Invite us to your podcast.
Good deal.
This is like we said at the beginning, like this is like really complex topic, and I definitely feel that the bottom line, there's not gonna be like an exact type of rule for that, right? Like each of us are gonna have the steps. However, in business, it definitely has to be a process. It definitely has to be steps that at least you create for your company philosophy, your culture,
Absolutely.
So yes, I definitely strongly believe that.
Yeah, your personality is really going to drive some of that. Your way of thinking, your style of thinking. Some people are going to use a lot of advisors. Some people are going to try to figure out themselves, whatever it is. But, if you have a process and you evaluate your process over time, see what's working, what's not working for you, hopefully will come up with something that will work for you, something that'll be effective for you. And that's really the bottom line, to be able to make decisions effectively, make decisions for your company, for your people, for your life. Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that, Rick. Thank you for sharing all your steps. I know that you have really helped a lot of entrepreneurs there in Atlanta and in the US. So, and I think that that's going to be really valuable for the listeners and the people that is sharing this also with their teams or something. So thank you for that. And thank you all for listening. Don't forget to share this episode if you liked it and to subscribe to our podcast channels. See you in the next time.
Don't forget to hit us up on social at Epiphany. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening to the show. We hope that you've enjoyed it.
We would love to hear your feedback or review. If you loved it, drop us a line. Let us know what business topics are on your mind. We'll make sure to talk about it in an upcoming episode.
If you have any questions or you would like to be featured on the show, message us on social. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Epiphany. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks again for listening. We look forward to seeing you next time on Epiphany Off the Cuff.